Okay, good evening. We'll call the meeting to order for Parks and Rec on February 16th, 2016. Clerk, could you please take the roll call?
Mr. Bricker?
Here.
Ms. Cunningham? Ms. Hitcher?
Here.
Ms. German?
Here.
Ms. Lamar? Mr. Politis?
Present.
Mr. Ratliff?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Councilman Rohr?
Here.
Chairwoman Lash?
Here. Can I have a motion to excuse Ms. Cunningham and Ms. Lamar? Second.
Second.
Can you please take the roll call?
Mr. Bricker?
Yes.
Ms. Hibbinger?
Yes.
Ms. German?
Yes.
Mr. Politis?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Councilman Rohr?
Yes.
Chairwoman Lash?
Yes. Can I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes that was held on November 17th, 2015, as it was recorded and transcribed?
I so move.
You may want to remind everybody that
You can
do
read
not
it.
have to have been here
Yes.
to vote yes. You just have to have read it or listened to the recording.
Yes, thank you. Do I have a motion to
I so
approve?
move.
I'll second it.
Can you call roll, please?
Mr. Bricker?
Yes.
Ms. Hibbinger?
Yes.
Ms. German?
Yes.
Mr. Politis?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Councilman Rohr?
Abstain.
Chairwoman Lash?
Yes. Okay. We have a motion to approve the meeting minutes that were held for the meeting that was held on January 19th. Again, if you read the minutes, you can vote.
I so move.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, can you please call roll?
Mr. Bricker?
Yes.
Ms. Hibbinger?
Yes.
Ms. German?
Yes.
Mr. Politis?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Abstain.
Councilman Rohr?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Lash?
Yes. Okay, we're moving on to item number 4, introduction of our new city council rep, Kyle Lohr.
I'd like to apologize for missing the last meeting. It was my calendar snafu, but I apologize to the group for being more attentive and let everyone know. Apologize for a lack of approval.
Welcome. We're looking forward to working with you. Okay. Moving on to item number 5, we need to elect the 2016 chair and vice chair of the board. We want to start with chair. Anybody want to nominate someone or themselves? Going once.
I think our current chairwoman is doing a fine job.
Doing a very good job.
Move to nominate Ms. Lash.
I would second that.
Okay, clerk, take the roll, please. Okay. Hold on one moment, please.
Mr. Bricker?
Yes.
Ms. Hibbinger?
Yes.
Ms. German?
Yes.
Ms. Lash?
Yes.
Mr. Politis?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Councilman Rohr?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to vice chair, we do need to elect a new vice chair. Jennifer Davis, who has been doing it, is no longer going to be on the board. So do we have nominations for a vice chair?
Can I ask what the responsibilities are? What does the vice chair?
Be the chair if she's not here.
Yeah, you have to run.
Yeah, basically just conduct the meeting if Allison is not here.
Which I think illustrates desire to be vice chair. So I so nominate.
Second.
Okay, can you call roll, please, then? Do we have a second?
What, for
Dee
Dee
Dee?
Dee? And
Yes.
you accept?
Yes. I will do it.
Anybody else? Any other nominations? Okay, we'll take roll, please.
Mr. Bricker?
Yes.
Ms. Hibbinger?
Yes.
Ms. German?
Yes.
Mr. Politis?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Councilman Rohr?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Lash?
Yes. Okay. We will move on to public comments, which it doesn't appear we have any today. So we will go to the YMCA, please.
How's everyone doing?
Great.
How are you?
I'm awesome. You guys should all have a copy of this. I'll go through them, but you guys can all read. So if you have any questions, feel free to stop me. Our healthy weight and our child class. It's a neat class, and it concluded its run, I believe, of 12 weeks where they meet every week, and now they're kind of on a maintenance program. And I'm surprised people they're coming to the maintenance programs too, which is great. So it's a kind of a buy-in after the program. So it's not like, all right, here you go. So that that went really well. We were a pilot, one of I think three or five Ys in our state that were chosen to pilot that program. So because our track record and our facility, being able to bring that to our community has really been awesome. Youth sports, the 3rd and 6th grade basketball season at Mingo set to wrap up here pretty quickly. That's going well. Baseball and softball registration is going on now. The deadline is March 25th, so let people know. Spring soccer registration also began, and people are registering for that. We also are offering some spring break soccer camps and some other things to generate some interest on that. That'll be our first spring season and our second full season, so that's very exciting. The diabetes prevention program, we are currently enrolling people in that right now. So again, that's a free class, life-changing, really. I'm lucky. I just get to kind of sit there and watch it happen. I'm not directly involved, but it's pretty amazing. Livestrong, they actually just finished up their program, and they'll be starting another one here. They do 2 a year, and that's for the cancer survivors. Very exciting. We have a brand new program very similar to the diabetes prevention. We're having a lot of success with these small group, really intense, getting people involved with the Livestrong, with the healthy weight in your child. So there's a new one. We're one of 3 Ys in the state for Parkinson's. So again, some really neat things happening out at our Y, things that you don't see. Typically, we get the word out in kind of private channels through doctors, through things that aren't, kind of in your face. And it's something that we kind of, we do shield the participants in these programs because, you don't want to be, and here's the cancer survivors, on display. So, some of these things that just don't get talked about a lot or seen happening in our community, and it's fun to be around. And we should all feel good that that's happening in our community, reaching out to those populations. Looks like we're going to have some new programs at Mingo as far as swimming for adults, learning swimming, which is actually one of the coolest classes. I encourage every single person to take that class. Whether you're a great swimmer or a horrible swimmer or whatever, you can learn something, and it's a really fun class. The teacher is incredible. Adult sports, volleyball or softball. We do have volleyball, open volleyball on Mondays, and Monday, Wednesday basketball is going crazy awesome. Special events. These are some of the ones that I'm running. Our daddy-daughter dance is bigger than it was last year already. And Linda can attest, we will have some very panicked dads showing up with their daughter in a dress, like at the event, like, can I register? And you're like, well, no, we let them in. So it is coming to a point where we're going to have to look at either limiting or doing 2, or I don't know, maybe finding a new venue, but that place is so nice. So we're going to make it work this year, and we've made some changes to it if you've been in the past. We've basically taken that whole front room and it's going to be one big dance floor. That's kind of been the biggest complaint so far. Last year we got rid of the wooden dance floor, which was too small anyways, and that made it bigger. This year we're getting rid of all the tables around. So that's great. And then on top of that program, there's another program that we have here in Delaware, the Adventure Princesses program, which is a specific daddy-daughter group. We do things like we just had our bowling alley. We've got a rock wall climbing event, a camp out. My hope is that this group will take off enough that we will then have other iterations. The daddy-daughter group is it's a national program, kind of like Girl Scouts. So it's not like something we started, but it's something that if we can get going strong, it can be a really great thing for the dads and daughters in our community and potentially other pairings of groups. But the daddy-daughter is by far the most popular in other communities, so starting there makes sense. It hasn't quite gone viral yet, but one of these days I think it will. Where are we at? We do need volunteers, so if you want to come out and see what's going on and give us a hand, Linda is been the face of the daddy-daughter dance for a long time, so you can come out and join her and our great teen volunteers who will be there as well. The daddy-daughter or the mother-son superhero party, March 18th. That's at Mingo. Registration is going very well for that. And it's not on here, but I'm working on a brand new parent-child event, which will be in the fall, tentatively titled Princesses, Pirates, and Piñatas. So that should be a lot of fun. That'll probably be out of the Y, at least for the first year. Other special events, we had the Orange Crush Invitational, 640 swimmers here in Delaware. Hopefully many of them staying and getting eating in Delaware and visiting and seeing what we have up here. That's one of the biggest swim meets, Y swim meets in the state. And that's just a really great event. Riptide Triathlon was a couple weekends ago. It was sold out essentially. Really fun event as well. And then we have the Dave Staley and Youth Triathlon has been moved up till July to be a little bit earlier than the big one that's coming up, the half marathon. And then, of course, the Easter egg hunt is March 26th. Last year we added a kite flying program to the end of it where you just brought out a kite and kind of hung out, which is very cool. We're always looking for ways to improve that program. One unfortunate thing, and if anyone has any ideas or connections, Bueller's has been a long supporter of a lot of our community events. They've always brought coffee and donuts and hot chocolate for the adults, as a thing to do for the community. They've also sponsored one of the blow up things at our Halloween event. Obviously, having a community partner like that leave our community means that there's now a hole in some of that. So we're going to be looking to fill that vacancy, but if you guys have any connections or any thoughts on that, obviously it's not something we budget for. Those are things that they've done way before the Y came around and helps keep those events free. It's really neat to have that kind of partnership. So that's everything here on the report. And I can answer any questions that anyone has.
Could you repeat the date for the Easter egg hunt and
Yeah.
times for volunteering at the daddy-daughter?
Sure. The Easter egg hunt is March 26th. The hunt starts at 11. Right now, we have the fire department bringing the bunny out to the hunt, so that should be pretty cool. Volunteers for that show up around 9:30 to put out the eggs and then to help keep the kids away from the eggs for those hour and a half that they're out. And then stay until 11:30 or 12. If it's nice weather, it's one of the best, and once we have that new park out there, I mean, it's really going to open up. We don't have any electricity out there, right? So once we have electricity out there, I'm thinking we could have a band, we could at least have music, really do a lot more than we've been able to do. For the daddy-daughter dance, it's from 6:30 to 8:30 this coming Friday, this Friday. And volunteers anywhere from, 5:30, 5:45. We'll have a lot of the teens will be there to help, and you can come and tie balloons for the kids. You can help with registration, help out at the ice cream bar. So take pictures. It's always good to have a couple more people taking pictures. Even if you want to just come see it and be kind of like, hey, what, you guys are the board and want to make sure what's going on. You guys might come up with, we've been doing this event for 20 years or something. So, we go on Pinterest and look and see what's going on. And I sit around and, come up with ideas like piñatas and, but the more people we have seeing those things, we're always looking for new ideas on how to improve, and you guys have a lot of insight on that. So come on out. That's at Source Point, which is the former Council of Older Adults out on Cheshire, and it's really cute.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
Great. Any other questions for Roger?
What needs, long term, not necessarily short term, are there any needs that you have from the board, something that you see that the Y, or, since you guys are in charge of the rec program, services that aren't being met that we could take a look into? You guys are doing many great things, so that's, without question, but is there something you see that we're lacking, or something you see that we're starting to become maybe a little full, and we need to add this or do this?
I think, this is kind of my personal view, but the Y in most communities is like a community kind of funded thing, right? It's kind of like a church almost, right? And then you have but it was publicly funded, right? So the Y, the only way it really exists is when the community supports the Y, and so it's been, I think that's one of the hardest things for us to convey, is that, the membership dollars just keep the lights on barely, right? Or if that, and when we can really start to do things is when we do get those partnerships and people buying in and volunteering and things like that. There's no way we can do the Mother-Son Superhero Party without a huge volunteer source if we had to, pay for that, right? So the more we can get, or we can't do Ride Strong or the Live Strong program without people supporting that program and make it free for the people. So it's, we are only going to be as good as the community is around us. And, the strongest Ys that you go to, we have a beautiful Y, but I think it still lacks that real, ownership, from the community, and that's where we strive to go every single day. And in my mind, we have with the space that we have, and that to me, that's not the big issues. The big issues is just when we put on a really cool event and nobody shows up, it makes it really hard to do it again, because you spend a lot of resources just hiring the instructor or whatever it is. So when we I'm running 4 new programs now. We just ran a date night, for example, the other night. Last year we had 40 plus couples, and I was looking to grow on that, and this year we had less, and I'm not quite sure why. I think there's communication, as you guys all know, is a big issue. We get bombarded and we put it out as much as possible, but there's not, we lost money on that program, right? So can I run a date night again, and be financially responsible with the few dollars that we have? We could be putting into a teen program or this program, right? So I think just the kind of the more, the community embraces the Y, is, when we volunteer, when we sign up, when we get involved here in Delaware with what's going on, when we take the tennis classes here instead of driving to Columbus, I mean, that benefits all of us. And so we've got a really unique opportunity where it's kind of like this one-stop shop for community stuff going on. So the more we can kind of, support that with our, going to whether it's going to the events as a participant or volunteering or supporting a cause that you're passionate about, whether it's the Parkinson's program or the teen leadership program, which is, we just went to a retreat this weekend. We charged the kids $70. It cost us $120, right? So where does that, and we scholarshiped 4 or 5 of them, right? So, those differences need to be made up. And I think that we exist knowing that it will come, and so we keep pushing that and pushing that and pushing that, and we just need more people feeling that vibe, I think.
Right.
And I think it happens like every day, one-on-one, when you get the bug a little bit.
Sure. I think we can all improve communication, but in terms of abilities, you run softball, Smith Park, you run so whatever, everything is good. No, you haven't heard a lot from members about, hey, we'd really like to see this, or we'd like to see this improved, or anything along those lines that maybe we haven't heard of as a board.
I don't know specifically about, I know what I want, there's all these things that, of course, everybody has their pet favorite thing, right?
Sure.
Like the pickleball group, right? So, I think, there's always things, but I mean, as far as I can tell, it's not so much the space or the this or the that, it's just the more we kind of get behind those things and support those things here in Delaware, the stronger they'll be, and they'll take care of themselves.
Right.
If tomorrow we had 1,600 kids in baseball instead of 800, we would, then we would might need to figure something out. But let's get to 6. That's the problem we want to have, right? Or, we have too many people who want to be in this program or that program.
If you don't mind, Roger, I guess.
Yeah.
Some of the things I think the questions lead perfectly into the next subcommittee topic. But at the same time, in our meeting last week between city staff and the YMCA, these programs that they're starting to offer that you hear Roger tonight say 1 to 3 or 3 to 5, that goes to show how good a job this particular branch is doing with those and the person that's in charge of running those special events. And that's something that we discussed, last week. And then with the National Guard coming on, that opened up a whole nother facility for the YMCA to utilize to be able to offer more programming and things like that. But going back to my original statement, I think that ties in with this subcommittee group, and this board and the subcommittees that choose to go one way or the other will start to learn more of those things, have more feedback, more input to the YMCA on those certain programs or needs or wants. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to chime that in. Sure.
Yeah.
Stace, do we have a vehicle or that we're looking to celebrate the wins that they're having? That for us as a city, it'd be cool to say, man, we have one of the top 3 Ys in all of Ohio in our back door. So I don't know if there's is that the website? We say, hey, did you know about Delaware?
We really didn't go into that much detail last Tuesday, but it's something we can definitely look in. Roger can mention that to Jeremy. I know they've got a couple new I'm not sure if they're called directors, but a few staff members coming on board as well. So maybe that too will bring another set of eyes, another background to give some ideas, but it's definitely something that we can address and talk to Jeremy and Matt about.
Okay, any other questions for Roger?
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thanks for everything. So we'll move on to what Stacy already started talking about.
Segue.
Item number 8 is the discussion of the subcommittee. So at our meeting last month, we started to discuss this. We didn't have everybody here, so we kind of put it on hold. And for those of you who weren't able to make it last month, I sent out an email that kind of just high level explained it. I don't know if everybody was able to look at that. But it has come up at several of these meetings that it is turning into an update. And we don't have, because of how formal the meeting is and that, we don't have a lot of time to sit and brainstorm and come up with ideas, which this was a perfect example. So we discussed having 2 different subcommittees, one that would focus on the parks and one that would focus on the Y and the recreation side of it. And then, of course, still have the whole board come together as well. So where we left it last month, everybody that was here, I think, was on board with that. We didn't do any sort of formal vote or anything, but everybody thought that was a good idea so that we could get more into the brainstorming details and feel like we're really providing something back. The issue was making sure everybody on the board was interested in that, and also working out how exactly that would work. So for instance, one month we would do subcommittees, the next month we would have the full board, or however we want to do that, so that we give each other, and we want to make sure everybody can be involved as much as possible. So we don't want to keep adding more meetings to people's schedules, so that we can have the participation. So I personally tend to lean towards, I think, to achieve that goal, it would be best to have subcommittees every other meeting, and then on those off meetings we come together as a board and can discuss things further. But I will leave that it's an open discussion and to you guys and what you guys are thinking and feeling about that. Any comments?
I agree. I mean, we talked about it last meeting. I think to keep participation, I think the every other meeting thing was probably the best way to go, to break it up between I think we talked about a parks and open spaces group, and then a recreation and special events group. Instead of having, because I know they had talked about 3 potentially with the special events, but I think recreation, special events, I don't think Delaware has a lot of great things, but I don't know if it's enough to have a special events subgroup.
Yeah, I think we definitely would just need the 2 groups, especially with the number of people we have on the committee, so that we have enough on each subcommittee. One focuses on parks, one focuses on the recreation, but I think the special event will it'll go over both of them, because that was the other thing that we discussed last month, is that the city is in the process of hiring hold me to it, Parks and Natural Resources Director.
Correct.
Which Stacy can give us more details on, but I think that having that position is going to start elevating some of the parks as well, and activities in the parks. So that can start, I think the special events is going to go across both of them somewhat.
So I have a question. When would these meetings be? When would we all meet at the same time as we do now, but split up into the separate groups?
Correct.
Well, personally, I think that's what we should do, just because that's
like
what's
that.
already on everybody's calendar. Everybody's already used to this day. So it would be, say, probably not next month, because we need to work out the details a little bit more, but what are we in February or March? So maybe in April, we have our first subcommittee meeting, and then in May, we would all be back to the board meeting, and then go on from there.
Well, and I guess that'd be up to you guys, and staff would follow up with city council and see if there's something that we need to change there, because right now we are a monthly scheduled meeting. So I don't know if there's anything there that we would need to change, but
Yeah.
we can check on that tomorrow and follow back up.
Yeah. So I think tonight, what we need to do is just get the consensus, and I guess, do we need to do a vote on just that we want to move to this, and then we can take it to city council to make sure that we're following the guidelines and any changes that we need to make to do that. And then from there, we can decide, once we get through that, so next month we can decide who wants to be on each board, each subcommittee, I'm sorry. Then we can get that schedule rolling. Does that work?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Stacy, you look like you have something you want to tell me.
No, I mean, I guess it's just, what Linda and I had talked to is that, she sits on the city, she represents, well, all city staff, I guess, but Public Works and Parks on the special events committees that we have here. And so what we had discussed is she would go along with the recreation end as well, to have the city's interest of the special event, not just what the YMCA was putting on, but other events, like the First Friday events, Linda's involved with that. So those events too would be discussed as that.
I think there's a lot of details with some of that we still need to work out, but I think tonight we just need to see if that's what the consensus is with the board, that that's the direction we want to go in, and then we can discuss that and come back with all that, because we asked before too that we would have somebody from the city or the Y attend those subcommittee meetings as well. So for instance, Roger could come to the subcommittee meeting for the, or whoever, but I'm saying like Roger would be there, and then we would have Stacy or something at the park, so that we would still have all of that going on, and then we would come back together as the board.
Correct.
So as far as logistics go, we still meet here, so that way, if Stacy needed to go between both groups, he could.
Mhm.
Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can probably use this room and the city manager's conference room. I don't think you have to record them. I think we discussed that.
Yeah, I don't believe you have to record.
It can only be on one place.
Yeah, no, I think that we had discussed those didn't need to be recorded.
Because the formal meeting will be in between.
We'll work it out.
But we'll make all those, make sure all
So
those.
for tonight, do we need a motion then to just approve that the board wants to move forward with subcommittees and then
To
take that to
recommend.
city council, or what do we need?
Well, yeah, but I guess I'm torn on this, is that I'd like to see what the interest is on parks and in recreation, because if you got 7 and 1.
Well, I think we're gonna
It's
have
not
to,
gonna
but
work.
I think we need to work that we would split them up to have it. We have 10 people on the board right now.
Right.
Well, right now, straw vote. Who would want to be on the one for park?
That means
I would go either way.
Well, I'm just
I'm
saying.
teasing.
But there's some that would go for the recreation and the
Right.
special events
So as
side
long
too,
as we
right?
got, I think we can move forward with. the
Yeah, I
vote
think
in that, but-
hopefully we
I
will
don't-
be able to work that out where we can make that an even enough distribution that we're not lopsided, so that we're getting what we need done.
Right.
And I don't think you need to make a formal recommendation. You can just tell staff to look at the ramifications of the city council resolution charter that says they meet every month. And let us look at that and bring
What Linda
all of
said.
that stuff back next month.
Okay, so for this evening, we are going to have the staff look into ramifications of having the subcommittees and what that entails, and work with city council and whoever you need to speak with about the changes to the board meeting schedule. And then hopefully then, so when we come back together in March, we will have the update on that, and then we can move forward from there on signing up for subcommittees or whatever the next steps are.
And in the time being, everybody think about which one they'd like to start on. And you can always flip later too. Like if somebody says, "Oh, I think I've had enough of this one. I'd like to go to the other one." We can change
Yeah, and
it.
I
When you
think
get
that-
tired of Stacy. you can go back over
Yeah.
Just say
Allison
it.
won't be with Stacy.
Don't take it personally.
it.
I'm just gonna step into the other room.
Which one are you gonna be in against, Stacy?
Okay, so are we good on that then? All right, then we will move to item number 9, which is the parks update.
All right. I have several things. I'm gonna start with this one before my phone dies. Spoke with Jackie earlier today briefly about some of the furnishings that we're going to need for out to veteran spray and play. We'll be sitting down, I believe it's Friday, to discuss that. What we're looking at there is, tables, chairs, lounge chairs. What do we need out there? What kind of materials, what form, what function do they have? What's the maintenance on these items? And I am paraphrasing from what she sent me today, but keeping in mind the theme of Dino Sheet. We also will be bringing that back before the board, before this committee, to see and get your comment on that. Picnic tables right now, are being reworked. We've got boards and are painting the frames. Those will be going under both shelter houses out there. The other thing that we need to get feedback from you guys on, there'll be 2 shelters out there. One, are they still calling it a 3-season shelter?
No.
Okay. 2 shelters, 1 shelter that'll be rentable, 1 shelter that will not be rentable. Right now, we are doing, all our shelters are rentable, so this would be the first one that we don't have that's rentable. It'll be the one that's closest to the splash pad. The thing we talked about last Tuesday with the other shelter is the one that'll have the fireplaces in it. It'll be towards the back of the park. Do we do all-day rentals on that? Or do we do a, was it dawn to 2 and then 4 to dusk rentals on that one?
What we do in the other parks with the rentals is you can do an all-day, or if there's, like somebody wants a chunk of it from noon to 5, we only do 1 rental on it in that day. So that way, the park staff doesn't have to try to clean between 2 rentals. So that was one of the, why this came up. Do we only do all-day rentals on this one?
When I started here years ago, that's what we did. We had multiple rentals a day. The number of complaints that we got from that was tremendous. So then we went to changing staff schedule to work 8-hour shifts on Saturday and Sunday. Well, now you've got baseball and youth baseball and softball that's going on. You have adult softball that's going on. You have a lot of different activities that are going on. So we switched that to just doing 1 rental in these shelters a day. That way we could clean them every day prior to. We didn't have to, pay extra overtime to stay for these. And I think it's $15 an hour to rent our current shelters, all but the 3-season shelter. So also with this, we need to we wanted to run by you guys the cost of renting this shelter. It was $75. If we went all day, we were recommending $75 Monday through Thursday. A Friday and Saturday all day, $125, $150. Well, once again, we wanted to get the feedback from this group on that. What we're thinking out there too is that, it's going to be a very popular shelter with the amenities that are going to be out there. So it's something that'll be rented probably all day anyhow, but we're not sure, until we, I guess, so to speak, get our feet wet. But, once again, we just wanted to get your feedback on that.
I think those are pretty fair prices as far as the rental goes.
When you did the half-day rentals, you saw, I'm guessing, saw a significant increase in extra costs associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the breakdown of those costs? Like to do that rental, it costs us an extra $50 or whatever it is to clean the shelter, prepare it for the next.
I can't give you that. What was happening, I'll tell you the biggest scenario with it is that, we didn't have, say, a 7 to 12 and a 1 to 5. We didn't have it broke down like that. So somebody would come in and rent it 12 to 3. Or, well, let's say 12 to 4. So staff would get off at 3 o'clock. Well, then I had to pay staff members overtime, $30-some an hour, plus your truck, plus your trailer. We're looking at $50, $60 for that hour,
Right.
Not to mention in the morning when they cleaned it. And for that rental, that's $60. Right. So, that's why we made that choice. But to give you exact number, not off the top of my head.
Yeah, I was just curious if it was feasible to add that as an option or add that into the cost. We rent it for X amount of dollars, but to do it, either rent it for the full day at $150 or rent it for a couple hours, but you have to pay this extra cleaning because it's what we have to do to prepare it for the next event. But if it makes no sense, then I think the 1 a day is probably the way to go.
Do you get a lot of calls? Do you get a lot of calls for double bookings? Like somebody going, oh, it's already booked for the day.
I'll let Linda speak on that because the Y handles that now, but she deals with the Y on that end.
We
more so
have
than I do.
some, and it's typically when, oops, I need a shelter and I want this one. And if we can accommodate them, we have, but what they do is Chris Nelson, who actually does all the scheduling for the Y, he makes sure that the first person, you need to make sure that you clean up and you take your trash with you, and that the next person knows the trash may still be there if that person does it. And then we try to give a little window so that if the first group runs over. But we try to go with just the one, but once in a while, but I wouldn't say it's a tremendous amount of them. But like I say, it's, oops, I forgot, I was supposed to rent something for Susie's birthday party, and now I got to have something. And typically it's gonna be the three-season shelter at Mingo is the one that we have most call for of a double booking.
I can see this one being added to your list though.
Yes,
But that's-
oh, definitely. Yeah.
Kids' birthday parties.
Yeah, with the splash pad. And that's why we're not gonna rent the other one out, because of its proximity to the splash pad.
I like the idea of double booking, but I can see the logistical nightmare that it would entail.
Yeah, because most of the time too, I mean, most people aren't going to rent the shelter at 7 o'clock. They're going to go for that 11 to 4, 12 to 4 spot anyhow. So it's, for a handful of people calling wanting to double book it, it's.
And you always have the other one is, hey, I'm sorry, it's booked, but remember, we put the second shelter, it's open, it's a first come, first shelter.
Right.
Do we know what other, local, other cities around do, how they handle rentals and things?
Most are all day rentals.
Feels like all day seems to make sense because people run over or, whatever. Just, it seems like the logistics for 2 in a day could be tricky.
Have you run into issues with that before with those, when you can do more than one, where people aren't gone, or like issues between the people renting it?
Well, yeah, you have them too, where even though you have the sign up, somebody else will come in and
Squat.
take the sign down and call PD.
That has occurred.
For the cost, you see this be the same as the other rental costs for the splash pad? Or will you kind of go higher on this one since it's new?
It's higher.
Yeah, this shelter that we're referencing will be higher than our other shelters, but that's something we discussed too, was, once here we are kicking the can down the road, I guess, to the Parks and Natural Resources Director position coming on board, but something that we need to take a good hard look at is all our rates, our rental rates in that. So it's something that in the near future will be coming back before this board to take a look at those rates.
I guess no, but do you ever have any inquiries from residents versus non-residents?
Oh, yeah. We rent to non-residents.
Do you have a higher rate for
No.
non-residents?
When the Y first took over and started doing this, we did have a resident and a non-resident rate. The problem was educating the Y staff on what was a resident and what was a non-resident. And someone will give their address as
Columbus.
Panhandle Road. Okay, it's a Delaware address, but they're not within the incorporated boundaries of the city of Delaware. So if they don't work in the city, they're a non-resident. So we ran into that. So it was
Well, we
easier.
run into that too. It's just because it says Delaware.
Right.
That's just who the post office delivers mail to.
Right.
But what post office you
Yeah.
get from doesn't mean where you live.
So we did away with that
Yeah.
and just made it a
It
one
almost
rate.
makes sense to go that way, but it sounds like a logistical nightmare too.
Do you anticipate a lot of rentals during the weekday, or not weekday, but during the week? Because the price is half the cost. So do you anticipate that it will just be?
Well, I think once the splash pad opens, I think we will have a lot of people wanting,
In the
Like-
summer, yeah.
kids having parties or something during the week, or a homeschool group might take all their kids there, or a daycare or something. And so I can see,
So having those rentals will probably help to alleviate the problems with double rentals on the weekends. Maybe. some.
maybe not.
Okay.
I think I just think that shelter is going to be very popular once that splash pad opens.
I mean, I guess my opinion, my recommendation is just pretty much just to go with what you guys had already put together. You can go with the single rental all day, go with the weekends being premium, because obviously that's going to be the most wanted time. And the fact that you have a second shelter to fall back on that says, you know what, I'm sorry, it's already booked that day, but remember, we do have a second option that's a first come, first served. If you get there early enough, maybe you can snag some space in that one.
The other issue with that is a lot of times, like kids' birthday parties have a start and end time. So they're not, if they're having a party there, it would be from 11 to 1 or 11 to 2 or whatever. So you're going to be renting those out all day. They might not be used all day, which, I mean, it could go either way. Either that's okay and we're getting the full day's cost and then people can just use it.
Correct. I mean, and that's
Or,
what I
yeah.
was going to say. Then that opens it up just to the
Yeah.
general public
Right.
to utilize it during that time, because, you know, although we added, you know, a second shelter and a shaded area, you know, that's another shaded area if it's not being utilized for that, for people to
Right.
get out of the sun and stuff. So, not too, I guess, worried about
No, yeah,
that
that's what
end
I'm
of it. I
saying
think
about
it's a
if you're
great thing.
doing it if you do just the all day, you're still making your full and you're not
Right.
having to have someone out there, and yet there's still probably people can use it at some point.
Correct.
I would agree that I would just do the all day rental to save the city staff and that's any other updates?
Well, yeah, that was the easy one. Last month, we had talked to you guys about meeting with our park user groups. We sat down and met with DYA, Optimus was the only group that didn't make it.
Delaware City.
Delaware
Schools.
City Schools, YMCA, St. Mary Schools, and Lacrosse, Delaware Lacrosse. Sat down, met with them. Very good meeting. Got a lot out of it. All groups should be on the same page when it comes to scheduling our field usage. Everybody's turning their schedules in within the next week or two. So we'll have all those. It'll all be on a master schedule. Linda and Chris Nelson are going to sit down. If they haven't already, I'm sorry, I've been snow plowing since 3 a.m. the past 2 nights, so I'm a little out of what's going on. But they actually want to have another one before the fall season. So we're all going to sit down as a group again and make sure we're all on the same page for the fall. So that just didn't include the groups that I mentioned, but that also was our special events. So like the marathons, the triathlons, all that good stuff that's going to be going on in our parks. The walk, the cystic fibrosis walk, things like that. We went over all that with this group. I was pretty pleased with that. So it's the first time we've ever done anything like that with all of them and getting everybody to the table. So I hope it just works out really well. So the bike plan update that I've talked to you for month after month after month, hopefully it'll be here next month. Might as well just make that a recording. The pond at Hidden Valley, dredging of the pond out there was completed. Was supposed to be completed today. They took it down about 6 feet. You would have been amazed at how much sediment had washed down into the pond.
And lost golf balls.
Yeah, a lot of golf balls too, but I'm not going in after them. The director position, we've received probably around 15 to 20 applications so far. So once again, get the word out. They have till March to get their applications in on that. There's some good ones in there. Some really qualified individuals. Wheelchair swing that Dee Dee that you asked about last month. I'll take this, just pass that down. I did find them. Pretty neat. But the manufacturer that and you'll see on there, they don't recommend those in a non-supervised area. But I did look it up for you and did some research on it, so you can see it. They are pretty neat. It's too bad that they can't put them in. I guess you can. They just don't recommend it. So, and the cost is there. Everything is with that. So, I'm just wanted to update you on that.
What do they mean by unsupervised? I mean,
If you look at it, I'm assuming it's because of I'm not saying it's not stable. I guess I just went on the record for saying it's not stable. If you look at the design of it, it just doesn't look like something that would be in a public park. It looks like something that would be at a facility for that.
Who gives the insurance company would like?
Yeah, I would think so. Veterans Park, of course, with the weather. I was watching the news a little bit earlier before it came down. I think they said 9 out of the past 10 days we've had snow, so it's slowed down a lot out there. Still on track. Basketball hoop for Kensington should be here in the next week or two. We actually had to have that designed and constructed for us.
Custom made.
Yes, so hopefully this one will last longer than the other two lasted. The other renovations at Hidden Valley are progressing nicely. We have the restroom is in, the ramp is being completed. He'll be starting on the pole barn in the next few weeks. A lot of good changes going on out there. I know the gate's unlocked during the week, so if you see the gate unlocked and want to swing down in there, feel free to swing down and take a look at it.
I'll try to get you some pictures next month too.
And really that's about it.
I have a couple quick questions, Stacy. Do you have a limit on how many times you replace certain equipment within a park, especially like neighborhood parks? If something keeps getting knocked over or vandalized and so on, do we have some sort of or limit before we end up taking it out, or what do you do in those situations?
That's a topic for the parks people.
Yeah, we'll discuss that. No, I mean, it just depends on what it is. I mean, the basketball hoop, for an example, was, that's $5,000.
Well, and that's kind of what made me think of that, because I feel like we've heard that several times on here about that specific.
Well, and that's why we switched it up, and I had to get it specially designed for that park, because I didn't want to put the shatter-proof backboard in that kept getting shattered. So we switched what we're putting out there. But like the spring toy, for example. Now the new director coming on might like spring toys. I don't care for them. They're constantly getting broken, primarily because they're used by the wrong age group. Okay, so I don't put those in the park. When it comes to other stuff, not so much vandalism or anything like that, but in our CIP that we present to council, most of the play toys that I do are on a 15-year rotation. Now, if a slide keeps getting vandalized and from burning it or cutting holes in it, or just you name it, they do it. I'll switch that out, and typically I'll go to like a fireman's pole. There's not a whole lot of damage you can do there, and you're still getting some kind of interactive.
Well, that's what made me think of that too, because over in Nottingham Park, there was a slide there.
Mm-hmm.
My kids were obsessed with, but then it got vandalized and it was taken out and something else got put in. So I didn't know if there was a plan for that or how you guys went about that.
And I mean, a lot of times it does come down to that, but it comes down to dollars too.
Right.
A slide is $3,000 to $5,000 depending on the size of it. So if you can buy a fireman's pole for $1,200, you're not really worried about the vandalism anymore on that.
Okay, I had another quick question. Does anybody else have questions?
I have a question, go ahead.
The bike path stuff. So I know you don't have an update on it. I'm just curious though, are we still utilizing that consultant, or is there something going on and we just don't have the updates on it, or what's going on with all of that? I mean, can you just give a high level? I know you don't have the details.
Yeah, some of what it did was it got shifted to our engineering department.
Okay.
And so our engineering department sat down, looked at it, tried to, I guess, reconfigure what the consultant had put together because it was kind of complicated to follow.
Okay.
So he tried to simplify it. He met last Thursday, I believe. Chad with our engineering department, the gentleman that'll be coming to speak to you guys. He met with Tom last week, and hopefully we'll have something for us next week. I haven't had the opportunity to sit down and
I was
speak
just
with
curious
Chad.
if we
but
were still,
They still have to do some stuff for us, but it's been in our, I guess, court,
okay,
so.
thank you.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
I said a question on Hidden Valley. Did I read correctly that it looks like there's a chance of development going into there? No? Okay, good.
I think that was
I think
actually
it's
the other
Delaware,
one.
Delaware Golf.
It was
Course.
Delaware. That's
Yeah.
what I couldn't remember what I had read.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
The
Delaware
original
Golf
front
Club.
building, which is
Yeah.
the best part of that golf course.
right.
Yeah.
All right. I was just curious. That's all.
Okay, any other questions for Stacy?
Although I will say too, have you ever had the ponds at the golf course dredged for balls? Because I know there's a lot of companies that will pay to come in and take them out because they'll resell them. I don't know if that's a.
It's
small
been a
company.
long, yeah, that was a long time ago when we looked into that. And it was basically, if I remember correctly, we were basically paying them to do it. Yeah, we got some balls out of it, but.
I mean, I probably got $50 on there, so.
You got to see them all. As I was down there yesterday after I got done plowing, and I was like, well, there was just in the bottom that,
Right.
I can only imagine what's in the sediment across
So
the way.
there's some, it's my understanding that some that will pay you because they'll take all the balls to refurbish them, but is that not what you've done in the past?
We'd only looked into it one time. We
All right.
never
That's
proceeded
curious.
with it. Yeah, we didn't proceed with it. I mean, it's kind of funny with that pond though. I mean, most ponds you go into, they don't have a stream that runs into them. So, there's not all that sediment too. So I don't know if they would have been able to get too many out of there. I mean, it was, if you go down there, you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, they hauled Friday, Saturday, Sunday, yesterday, and today. So 5 days of hauling out of that little pond. That's how much sediment was in that pond. So
Lucky them.
2 trucks. Yeah. The other thing, and then I won't talk at staff comments, concession stands. We have, we were really getting a little worried about the Veterans Park concession stand. Going back to the user groups, we asked them again if any of them were interested in it. They were more or less, well, if somebody wants to split it with us, well, then, that didn't get a lot of traction, I guess. So we reached out to Rowena Wyckoff that runs our Smith Park concessions. And right now she is very interested in running that concession stand out there. So keeping our fingers crossed. This is all preliminary, but hopefully Rowena will be running that concession stand out there for us come this spring.
She does a good job, Smith.
Yeah.
Have you thought about like a Cone of Ice? Doing like a summer stand there?
Oh, he already's in our other one, so I'm sure that he'll be ready to go for this one as well.
Easy one.
Okay, anything else for Parks and Rec, or Parks update? Then we'll move on to staff comments. Stacy said he's done.
The other thing I might say is that we're looking at ribbon cuttings, grand openings, all that stuff for 3 places around Memorial Day weekend. So plan on being at some events. It'll be for Veterans Park, Spray and Play, and Veterans Plaza, which is up by the National Guard building, and the dog park.
Thank
Keep
you.
your calendars open.
Yep,
And as we get more information and dates for sure, we'll let you know.
thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to member comments. Anybody have anything additional to add tonight?
Welcome to Kyle. Being here. Oh, and thank you, Stacy, for a custom-made back logo for Kensington. We really appreciate that.
I'm going to throw something unusual out there for you. I got to take a trip to Carmel, Indiana, and some cities around there this week. And they talked about a new dog park that they had just opened. They were having some issues with owners not taking care of their dogs. Their rather unusual solution, should you ever need an idea, is they now have a membership fee for their dog park. And it pays for the DNA testing of all dogs. And there's actually a person that's job is to pick up accidents that weren't taken care of, and they get fined for all of those for not picking up. So should that ever become a problem, it's apparently a solution for you. And it has eliminated anything because people are now fearing the repercussions of it. So should that become any complaint issue that you have, that was their solution, and they said it completely 100% solved their problem.
How they monitor who goes in and out.
Well, that's just it. I mean, it's more of on the honor system. You know, my first thought, I have a dog. Why wouldn't I just take him to my local park if I have to pay $80, you know, whatever it is to DNA test my dog? It's not worth it.
Right.
But they said that all the complaints that they received, you know, went from X amount of week to 0.
It's interesting.
So,
And people are still going to the park?
yeah, it's still a very, I mean, most dog owners are pretty good.
Well, yeah.
But anybody that, you know, gets frustrated, it's worth the money for them to go play, especially if it's a nice dog park. If it's a place that, you know, can let their dogs run and go free, and there's water and, you know, other dogs to play with. Some dog owners are pretty crazy about their dogs.
I know.
That's all I had to say. Unusual.
Anyone else? I thought you had questions, Mimi. Nope. Okay, then can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All second?
Second that.
Okay, we are adjourned at 8:04. Oh. 8:01. Oh, okay, 8:01 PM. Thank you.
PS comments. Congrats